Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Waharaka Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Our honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I was doing some research in preparation for, the algorithm, Lord will, me and the elder Ariel are going to be doing on Tuesday. So Lord willing, we can get that done. You could look forward to that. And I was doing some research into the Truman Doctrine. And it led me to go into, the clash of the so-called clash of ideologies. All right. So you had capitalism on one side, capitalism and democracy, I should say, because both of those two things kind of go together in a way. So capitalism and democracy on the one side, which was represented by America and Britain, and communism on the other side, which was being spearheaded by the USSR at the time, the Soviet Union. And I'm not going to go into, we're going to touch on the Truman Doctrine in the algo. But basically, one thing that stood out to me was the propaganda of the West or America at the time is the communism was basically captivity or slavery for the people, and capitalism and democracy represented freedom. Because I had to look into what is communism, what is capitalism, and it's very interesting because when you really look it up, pure capitalism and pure communism has never really been done. These are ideologies, but to actually complete them in practicality, nah. But generally, there are differences in practical ways between communism and capitalism and democracy. Okay, that is true. But like I said, the communism purely defined and capitalism purely defined is kind of slightly different to how it is done in practical terms. That's why you got to look things up. All right, got to be like Vladimir Prudent. All right. See, we're princes, and a prince is supposed to be prudent. A prince is supposed to be a man of understanding and wisdom, and is supposed to search out things. The problem with this society is the average person is basically like an NPC. They don't consider or search out the meaning or the reasoning behind so much what is around them. If you was to literally ask the average person, like, how much time have you spent understanding what capitalism is? How much time have you actually spent trying to understand what communism is? You've heard of these terms, you've had people speak these terms to you, but have you actually gone and looked into it to gain an understanding of what these terms mean? And they'll be like, no. Or they spent 1 minute on it. And that's a big problem. When you come into this truth, what do you actually learn to be? You learn to be a researcher. You learn to look up like the apostles and elders. They kind of like taught us to look into everything, check everything out, man. In fact, I got two scriptures on that. Right, this is one scripture here. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way. Like, you got people that agree with things before even knowing what the hell it is. That is the political landscape. The way Esau, this is what's gonna go into what I'm saying. One of the main ways Esau is able to manipulate 99% of the population is because 99% of people take everything at face value and don't spend the time it takes to understand almost anything. Like, so that a person like that is easy to manipulate. Like a lazy-minded person, a person who just has a layman understanding of almost everything. Like, even things they vehemently believing, they really don't understand. Like, you can have a person say to you, yeah, I believe in evolution. And they really don't understand anything about evolution. They just understand the gist of it. And that's it. It's like real surface level stuff. And they accepted it because they liked the person who said it, or enough people said it, so they were like, yeah, I'm down with that. And they will vehemently be for something that they don't even know anything about. It's crazy. All right. But we're not supposed to be like that. Another scripture here, the simple believeth every word, right? But the prudent man looketh well to his going. And that's the majority of people on this planet are simpletons. They believe every word. As long as it comes from someone that's, has charisma, that's what you get. They select these people. You select the ruling class, select charismatic and specialized people to get them to manipulate and cast a spell on the masses. And it will get the masses then to do whatever they want, even things which are against their own interests, because they don't understand. They really don't understand. And they're not going to try and understand. They don't want, they rather just spend hours watching football, watching the Super Bowl, than understanding their own economy to any decent level. So of course they could be easily manipulated. All right. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. And there's another scripture, right? This is Sirach 5:15. It says, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small matter. And that's the way of a prince, a ruler, a king. As a king, if you rule over a city or over a country, there's nothing that happens in that country which is beneath you. Now, there might be matters that you pay more attention to, but really, as a king, it is in your interest to have a good understanding of everything that's going on in your kingdom. And why is that? Because if ignorance can lead to what? Error. It means someone could come and deceive you and manipulate you because you're ignorant. You don't know. You're not a wise guy. Do you understand? That's why, I'm always looking into things and I always check things out. And then sometimes you find yourself saying, oh, why did it? And it happens all the time. Like, for instance, if you might work in a industry, and the average person will complain about something that is done in that industry. And to them, it's stupid. Why is it done? Why? Because they're not actually thinking about it. They're basically just upset because it might inconvenience them in some way or form. But because you work in that industry and you understand why it's done that way, you're like, bro, no. There's a reason it's done that way. That is the way it actually has to be done. Whether it inconveniences you or not doing it that day causes an even greater inconvenience. But because you lack the understanding of the matter, you're ignorant of it, it's easy to make that mistaken judgment. And we all do it sometimes. But that's why I like to speak to people that know and try and find out, like, okay, is this really something that's going off, or is there a reason for it? All right. But that's called being prudent. All right. And not being an NPC, a drone. Yeah. All right. So like I said, the average person is ignorant to these things. And I'll give you another example. So like I said, the way I digressed, but the way they promoted what they were doing, which is basically starting the Cold War, right? The Americans pretty much started the Cold War. They justified it by saying that they were doing all this not to establish their own empire and to establish their own power so they can manipulate and control and gain the riches for themselves. No. This was for the good of the people. You know that Bane, before he wanted to blow the city up? And I hand it to you, the people. Yeah, they were doing all this for freedom's sake, for freedom. It was all about freedom. The average person has never actually thought about what freedom is. What is freedom? What is this freedom that they speak of? Because freedom is a heavy word. What does freedom mean? Women's liberty. What does liberty mean? Because see, everybody wants freedom and everybody wants liberty. But do you actually understand what it means? And it is all forms of liberty good? Like, for instance, you have to understand that everyone has to live within some form of boundary. If you want to use the term liberty in its ultimate form, well, the satanic form, do as thou wilt, is the whole of the law. If you want to bring liberty to its satanic form, which really for us is not liberty, it's actually bondage to sin. But if you want to bring liberty to its ultimate form, according to the world, according to Satanism, then you are free to do whatever you want without consequence. Murder, kill, steal, and there is no consequence. You're not bound by any laws or moral code. You're bound only by your ability to perform your will. Get it? So what is freedom? The average person doesn't even contemplate that. They've not spent not even 10 minutes of their entire life thinking about what freedom actually is, even though they keep having people talking to them and telling them freedom, free this, be free. It's all about being free. They don't actually thought about it. What is being free, and what does it even mean to be free? Does that mean there are no laws, there are no boundaries, there are no consequences? You could just do what you want? Is that what freedom is? And is that what you have in the West? Do you have the freedom to do whatever you want? I think you'll find that you don't. You don't. So what do they mean by that, just freedom? All right. Now, I'm going to play this video and he's going to break it down how capitalism really isn't freedom, because of course it's not. Because the people who brought capitalism to the forefront don't care about your freedom. They care about their freedom, their liberty to do what they want. The elites care about their will to overpower you and get you to do what they want, to bend to their will, which they do. Democracy, the people they want in power are the people in power. The laws they want to be passed are the laws that are passed. The ideologies they want to be promoted are the ideologies that be promoted. You don't come up with that shit, they do. And then you follow it. They cast spells on you, right? They have a whole system of witchcraft to remove your will so that their will be done. They don't really believe in freedom. And it's the same people that set up communism, the Bolsheviks, because it's the same elite. This thing is not about freedom as the average person would believe it to be. All right?
This episode and others like it
Oh.
possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help me make more content like this,
So I'm gonna play this clip, and then basically I'm gonna go into a few scriptures on liberty.
consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. If you were to ask a handful of Americans what makes their country so special, odds are most of them would respond, our freedom. If you were to press them on the issue and ask why we experience such freedom, their answer would probably be something about the Founding Fathers, our strong military, and capitalism. Now, this video is not about the various global freedom rankings, in which America performs poorly compared to other wealthy nations. You can look those up on your own time. What I want to focus on is the adversarial relationship between our capitalist system and personal freedom. For decades now, the words capitalism and freedom have been treated as synonyms. But over the course of this video, I hope to show you that capitalism doesn't enable freedom at all. In fact, it actively suppresses it. This may
Yeah. So this whole idea, they were bringing in capitalism, and that's why the scriptures speak about the wiles of the devil. We are not ignorant to the wiles of this devil. This devil is good at fooling, casting spells on the ignorant. They're able to get you to agree to your own slavery, to choose things which are against your own best interest. And that's what this society is. If you look at this society, they push cultures which are self-destructive. You are doing something which will destroy yourself. Women's liberation was self-destruction for women. Thug life. You could, throughout this whole society, the whole culture is self-destructive, and people are choosing to be self-destructive because it's marketed to them in a way of, oh, it's liberty, it's fun. It's crazy.
Sound like a strange claim, but bear with me. I think you'll come around by the end. Before we begin, we need to have a deeper understanding of freedom than simply, I get to do what I want. Let's start with the concepts of positive and negative freedom. Positive freedom is having the capacity to act according to one's free will. I get to do what I want is an expression of positive freedom. Negative freedom, on the other hand, is the freedom from coercion by others. One example of this would be the freedom to speak freely without fearing retribution from the state. These two types of freedom can be summed up as freedom to and freedom from. They often get tangled up and end up in conflict with one another, as in the gun rights example, I have the right to carry a gun in public versus I have the right to walk around without the threat of being shot. There will always be disagreement surrounding the issue of which form of freedom should take precedent. But the point of this video is that capitalism suppresses both forms. Let's take a capitalist economy as an example. Would you say that this kind of economy offers a positive or negative freedom as its value proposition? A positive freedom would be, I am entitled to a guaranteed fair share of the economy. That doesn't fit. What about a negative freedom? I am entitled to operate in the economy without coercion by powerful groups. That's closer, and that's how free market enthusiasts have chosen to describe the freedom afforded by capitalism. Here's the problem. Those people see the government as the only entity capable of exerting control over the economy. Government power is significant, but in today's hyper-capitalist economies, the governments themselves are beholden to the ultra-rich and massive multinational corporations. Capitalism not only fails to guarantee its people a fair share of the economy, positive freedom, it also fails to prevent the meddling of disproportionately powerful entities in the economy.
Right. This whole idea of democracy, well, there is no democracy because they control the political system through the money and through the media and through the education system. All right, through omission of information. You can there's something called an informed choice. An informed choice. If I tell you choose the best TV, right? But I don't give you all the features for the actual best TV. I don't say to you these are the features of both TVs in their entirety so you can choose. I omit the features of the best TV and give you the features of the worst TV. So you think the best TV is the worst TV and you choose the worst TV. Did you really have freedom? No. I manipulated your choice through omission of information. And that is what the media does all day long. They omit information. They manipulate the minds of the people. So how is that freedom? Freedom comes with truth. When you have the truth, then you can actually make a choice. That's a form of freedom, to make a choice based upon truth. When you've been lied to, you don't have freedom because you've been manipulated. And this whole society is based upon witchcraft, based upon lies. Okay?
Freedom. Tax laws are...
That's why this truth is liberty. And we're going to get the scriptures, but I just want to let this guy break it down for a little while, then we're going to get the scriptures.
Always written to benefit the top 1%. Energy policies always benefit massively wealthy fossil fuel companies.
Exactly. Look, there's no difference between communism ultimately and capitalism because the same thing ultimately happens. The 1% have the power and control over the masses and the resources. The only thing that's different is the optics. Yeah? Or the illusion, because this whole get rich thing, you can rags to riches. You find out that most people that they say were rags to riches weren't rags to riches, man. They weren't. It's extremely difficult for someone who's in the lower classes to have upward mobility 2, 3, 4, 5 levels up. It doesn't happen. Usually, if you're working class, your parents are working class, you be working class. At the most, you might end up middle class. And that's it. Hardly anyone goes from being nobody to becoming a multi-millionaire. It's just not that easy. But this society makes it look like it's that easy. Meanwhile, the 1% of the runs are really running and controlling everything. And they're deciding really who moves up and who moves down.
Despite their effect on the climate. Why? Because the ultra-wealthy have bought both major political parties in the US. This is a direct result of runaway capitalism. The accumulation of obscene levels of wealth in the hands of a tiny fraction of the population has created an owner class with godlike power. Let's take another example. America has a for-profit healthcare system. It's incredibly lucrative, worth a staggering $3.65 trillion as of 2018. In a humane system, average people would be able to afford medical treatment. They could go to the emergency room without the fear of racking up tremendous medical debt. That's not the case in America.
Sunny and clear weekend in Jerusalem, and it will stay with us.
I mean, you get the point, and you could go and watch the rest of this video, all right? But communism ain't no different either, because it's all aimed at the same goal. That's the point I'm trying to make. That this whole fight between communism and capitalism was a fraud. It was a fraud that the elites perpetrated, because you're not free in America. You're not free in America. You're nowhere near free. That's not what the freedom we're looking for. All right. Now I want to look up the word liberty. All right, liberty. What real liberty is at the end of the day? For one, as Israelites, our liberty is being in subjection to Yahweh Bar Shami Hawashai, the righteous order. That's our liberty. Our liberty is to be within the correct order and boundaries, and then being able to do what we will within those boundaries, within the law, within the order. Okay, our liberty isn't just being able to do whatever you want. No, we don't want to do whatever we want. We want to do righteousness, and that's what liberty is for us. To be free to do what's right. For us, doing what's wrong is not liberty. And that's what the scripture says. You become in bondage to sin. All right. If you're a woman, your liberty is in serving your husband. That's liberty. That's true liberty, to serve your husband in righteousness, to be free to do that and enjoy that, to do what you're supposed to be doing. That's what liberty is. That women's liberty they said was never liberty. That wasn't liberty. That leads to your own destruction, and that was to their benefit, not yours. All right. Now we look up this word liberty, right? I just want to look up the word liberty, freedom. And you can look at the economic system of the scriptures, man. Yeah, you're free to grow whatever crops you want to grow and do everything within the law. And anything you do, you produce or service you provide must be positive, because the scripture says, love thy neighbor as thyself. And it must not be a fraud. You defraud not thy neighbor. So everything you do must be positive for the people. And that's how the system should be. That we have our needs and our wants met in righteousness, right? Not to the detriment, right? Not to be a net negative, which is this is society. Man will make a product that kills everyone, but as long as it's making them profit, it's okay. It's bullshit. What kind of system is that? Anyway, this is the word for liberty.
Strong's G 1657, Eleutheria. Eleutheria.
Right, so I want to just jump down to where it says here, fancied liberty, license, the liberty to do as one's pleases. Now, there's different forms of that. Like, for instance, if you're not engaged, then you're at liberty to marry whoever you want. So it's like a woman. If a woman isn't betrothed, she is at liberty to marry a man. But if she's betrothed, she's not at liberty. If you sign a contract with a man to do something, then you're not at liberty to break that contract. You have to keep that contract or keep that oath. So those are forms of liberty. All right. Like I said, the laws. All right. Every liberty has to be within the confines of the law. Now it says true liberty is living as we should and not as we please. And this is our doctrine. Our doctrine is the liberty that we teach, the liberty which is in Yahweh Shai, is to do what's right. To live the way which is right. Which for us brings blessings and life. That's it. That's what it is. The liberty what they're teaching you in America isn't the liberty to live as you should. It's the liberty to live however your lusts tell you want to live. Right, or whatever the media pump into your brain and tell you want to live, because that's really what it is. Because they do social engineering through the media, and then they allow you then to go forth. They give you the liberty to go forth and destroy yourself according to the doctrine that they've taught you. Bullshit. Now you're a slave to their venom. Right. True liberty is living as we should and not as we please. And so here's an example, Romans 8:21, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. Our liberty comes from being free from corruption, being free from the chains of wickedness, being free to serve Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, to serve his son and serve our king and whoever else is in the righteous order. That's the liberty, to do what's right. I got another scripture down here. James 1:25. But whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty. You see, the wicked see the law as bondage, right? We see the law as liberty, which is the right way to see things. Taking upon yourself the yoke of Yahweh Shai is liberty. But you see, the wicked think the law is the bondage, and corruption and foolishness and folly is freedom. And that's the satanic doctrine. And where does that lead you? To the grave. And see how free you are there. And continueth therein. He being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. Right? Don't you want to be blessed? All right. Now there's another scripture, right? And this is our mentality, okay? Psalms 119:45. I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. Right? Once you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, it brings liberty. And that's the liberty that we're gonna have. We're gonna have our own kingdom, our own king. We're not gonna be subject unto no heathens. Right? We're subject unto our own king, unto our own power, unto our own laws, which bring righteousness, man, and blessings. Proper order. Esau didn't bring freedom to the world. Esau didn't. These devils in America. How the hell that man had one operating the sweatshops? What are you talking about? This man didn't bring freedom to the world. And see, the world is waking up to that now, because here it is in 2024. The whole idea that America believes in freedom, or the freedom of the people to choose, has been a farce, because they have agencies which are set up to manipulate other nations. You know, they be causing coups, and if the people choose someone they don't like, they come in and do regime change. So they don't really believe in freedom. Okay? But I just wanted to touch on that, man, and get that out there, because I know I wasn't going to be able to discuss this in the algorithm. I don't want to do too much segueing. But yeah, there's a lot when you look into that term freedom, man. You know, and Esau's a liar, man. Esau tell you he's bringing you freedom, but he ain't, man. He's putting you into bondage. And the same thing's going to go with this MOTB. They're going to bring this MOTB, mark of the beast, as if they're going to tailor it or market it like it's freedom and salvation. But it's not. It's not going to be freedom and salvation. It's going to be bondage to sin and wickedness and him, the Satan. All right. So if that, I'm going to say shalom.